right now I'm sitting down with some gentlemen who represent the GBSS football team. I'm with the manager, captain, and coach. Or manager, coach, and captain. All right, good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning.
Of course, this is Mr. Nigel Gibbs, Mr. Anthony Nixon Modeste, and Mr. Brian Benjamin. All right, now, I'm sure a few people out there know you guys anyway. All right, so this morning we're here to talk about the life and death of Mr. Kellon Baptiste. Right, because a lot of you played with him, you knew him, were very close friends with him, or classmates with him. Right, so share your stories with us, please.
If I should begin first, I met Kellon through entering GBSS, 1986 Form 1. We were in the 1G classroom together, and from that stage, everyone looked up to Kellon because he exhibited a lot of leadership qualities. He was definitely not the oldest one in the class, but he was sort of a mentor on and off the field of football, you know, and going back to those years with the original 1G, anybody you meet could attest to that. He has become an integral part of the GBSS, the new GBSS family. Well, that is in the former years and latter years, and definitely a household name when it comes to GBSS institution as an educational institution and as a sporting institution. We were always competitive. He was in Baptiste's house, I was in Maguire house, and from the get-go we used to have class football competition, then house football competition, and then the team for the school was selected. So we were always having that good friendly rivalry, and I think it brought a development throughout the whole school, and definitely to the character of several of the people, if not all involved. You know, so looking back on it is a very sad moment. And before I continue, though, I would like to extend condolences. Firstly, to his wife, Ms. Florence Cotton Baptiste. She has been part of the family of GBSS from the inception, you know, supporting the club and then eventually becoming the wife of Kellon. And she has always, anytime you see GBSS, you could almost always see that face. Not forgetting his family, his mom, his brothers and sister, who has always supported the club, and who has been friend with everyone on the club, staff, players, and so on. So our heartfelt and deepest, sincerest sympathy and condolences goes out to them now in their time of grief. So maybe at this juncture I could probably let Mr. Modeste and Mr. Benjamin share some light.
Well, Kellon is one that was always jovial. For some reason, he found something to make you laugh. And as management alluded to, he had this leadership quality about him that was second to none. And we as players going through the GBSS appreciated that much about him. There's so much to be said about Kellon. You might have take our 6 programs. But he will be greatly missed. We as a family, we knew what he was going through, the pain he was going through, and we shared the pain with him. We are still sharing that pain because Kellon is one, his presence alone in a dressing room, in a farm room, outside the playing field, said a lot. I found you on my shirt, so I had it over to Brian.
I'll get back to you in a second.
Yeah, and I can even extend on that, you know. He was a very, he was a very humble, simple, unique, and very serious gentleman in all his aspirations I can recall with my encounter with him. You know, our encounter extends from school days up to present. Some of the things I can remember of him, he made everything He made everything look easy, simple, life on a whole. I should say that he had, in his latter part in life, he had 2 very serious relationships. That with, his family, comprising of his wife and, his parents, siblings, and the GBSS family, which he was very, very, very devoted to. Listening to Kellon speak, he had high aspirations for football. He had that genuine passion for it. Always wanting to see something different. Always want to push his team to the extent, football-wise. And he made very, very, very high emphasis on even the attire, because in his life he had experience, national team exposure, and he had a little bit of semi-pro exposure too. So he kind of incorporate all these experience, and try to bring it back with the club locally and, set a standard. That was his aim, to see GBSS rise, have us looking different, that kind of vibes.
See, you all showed up in uniform this morning.
Yeah.
As well, right? Good job.
Yeah, he was good.
From what I understand, you were in business with him as well, back in your younger days?
Business, not directly, but, we had a lot of, we leased a lot in that area, You see, like in his, like, he imported, like sports uniform, KB's, I don't know if you know KB Soccer Sales up there, Yeah.
I've been up there.
Yeah. It's really good, really good. That was the same, yeah.
All right. Tell us about Kellon on the field. How was he as a keeper?
In my opinion, Kellon was one of the better goalkeepers I've ever seen. He's one I hated to lose. I can recall on many occasions we losing games and he will throw away his jersey and lie down even if rain fall and just cry because we lost. And we always gave him stick about that, telling he's soft and whatnot. He always cried, but deep within we know it was all talk because we knew the passion he had for winning.
Interesting.
Even at his early days, in 1G, there was another gentleman in that class who used to compete with him for school goalkeeper, and Mr. Randy Lewis.
So he was always a goalkeeper from GBSS?
Kellon was always
Okay.
That was Kellon, goalkeeper, and that is where the competition was. Even for the school team, for the junior team when we just started out, it was Kellon and Randy. Some of us knowing Randy before we met Kellon because of primary school association, sort of lent basically from familiarity and acquaintance towards Randy. But every time Kellon took the field, he had a point to prove.
Right.
He always earned to be the best at what he did and to come out a victor, playing the sport with all the rules being followed. He was never one to say, okay, he would go the cheating route or something. There was always a positive vibe. I remember when he made the school team for the first time. We had a very strong junior team. We had the likes of Michael Henry, who is deceased, the late Michael Henry, Michael Roberts, and several other players who were very, very good defenders. And what used to happen on evenings when we met some of our opponents, I would be sitting by the goalpost, Kellon would have his exercise book, and I would help him. We would be doing the homework. Sometimes I used to help him with a little homework because they used to train and practice and travel so regular that sometimes it was difficult for them to get in all of the schoolwork on time.
Right.
And we being close, I would sit down. Sometimes if they're training, I have notes, I have homework. And he used to be writing me, say laugh, and then I say, Kellon ball. And one might slip through the defense. And he just collect it, and he roll it back out. And sometimes I used to laugh, and I used to say, boy, you ain't getting challenged enough. Maybe that will take away from your professionalism. But as he grew older, he stamped his authority on goalkeeper in Grenada. And even when a national team was called, you must, Kellon Baptiste.
Of course.
It was the go-to guy. Of course, we had some of the other keepers, and we taken away nothing from them. But this is Kellon's moment, and he on to aspire and to achieve excellence in his game. And our Mr. Victor Ashby used to always tell us, our dear beloved principal, he used to say, autograph your work with excellence, so that not even the living, the dead, or the unborn could do better.
Right.
And Kellon exemplified that. You know, it's something I carried in my heart up to this day. And you know, those are the little things. In the classroom, you would hear a joke, and Kellon, you know, he would, and then everybody would laugh.
Right.
Of course, we used to get in a lot of trouble for those
course.
outbreaks in class. But he was one who would have made you feel so comfortable being in his presence. You know, advice, and even when we had a little friction about team issues and so on, after we had our arguing and our shouting at each other, he would just stop you and say, man, don't worry about that, you know, everything will be all right.
Right.
Yeah, and you could have talked to Kellon even after immediately disagreeing with him. And we would move on like if there was no conflict, no argument, nothing. And he always made it very comfortable for the players, you know, and I know that some of the players now, everybody couldn't be here today. The current and past players, everybody really mourns Kellon, you know, and even after his passing, when I contacted some of the younger players, even having a one-on-one with one of his, I think one of the boys on the team, that's Mr. Ariel Jacob, who he really took a liking to, and always kept him under his wings. It was only days after I could get a response from young Ariel, because he was so distraught of the passing. He knew of Kellon suffering, and everyone was rallying behind him. And up to the time of his death, the club was 100% behind Kellon, even hoping for a full recovery, you know. And that just goes to show the passion he had for life, the passion he had for football, you know, and the legacy he has definitely left behind.
So from each of you now, I'm going to ask you to box your brain a little bit and tell me what is either your fondest memory of Kellon or the best joke he's told, you know, something like that.
Well, there's so many, but one that stood out to me, in 1989, we played on a 16 football in St. Lucia, and we played a game against Dominica at VG Park, and it was 1-1 with 10 minutes left, and the Dominican goalkeeper kicked the ball long. And from the time the ball left his foot, we told Kellon to watch the bounce. And he said, I see it. The ball bounced over his head and scored.
Oh no.
And we lost 2-1. We were back in a hotel. And, well, we always shared room, and we were lying there. He said to me, I'm going to be the best goalkeeper in Grenada. And from there, well, from under 16, we used to play for Grenada. And Grenada had a goalkeeper called Robinson Cornwall, and Kellon sat on the bench for a few years, and he keeps saying, anytime I get my chance, that would be it. And when he did get his chance, he just went right through.
So that didn't bring him down at all. It
No.
drove him, as a matter of fact.
True. My fondest memory of him was ever, you know, like whenever, you know, like we have to make some kind of decision. For example, like season about to start. For example, if you have to get a new uniform, Kellon will call me. Brian, yeah what? See this one? I like the one. All right. We gonna make a decision on this one? All right. Let me go and check it on the internet. I'll be sitting back and I saying, Daddy, could be downstairs work. I used to be downstairs working. I said, Daddy, I bet you call me back again. Phone ring off again. Brian, yeah what now? We had to change up something, you know? Something had to go on, you know? Like during the night and them kind of thing. And even after going through the day, you know, thinking about that. First thing in the morning, because sometimes I used to rise a little late sometimes. First thing in the morning, coming and knock on the window. Hey, yeah what now, man? Some changes again, you know? So it's always, you know?
So
I used to always kicks, man.
A bit of a perfectionist. Selecting his uniforms and that kind of thing.
Everything. Even gameplay, you know, always have, you know, some decisions to make. Ways, you know, we can improve on this. Ways we can improve on that. And always, you know, these are the things that I miss the most.
Lots of fond memories of Kellon. The one that sticks with me most, and it has stuck with me throughout my life. As I said, I've known him since '86, and is the joy and the jubilation he showed when he made the senior team. Well, it was a given, but because we had so many good players in GBSS, you know, it was something that he really honored. And when was his first call in school to the national team. I remember one of the guys, we used to tease him Rat. One of the guys gave him that nickname. Up to now, I don't know how that came about, but I think because they had a very close relationship. And you know, when the announcement was made that he was selected for the national team, and those was in his senior years, he said, when the guy came to the classroom, and he said, from today you're not Rat, you're National Rat. And that nickname stuck with him throughout his life. And sometimes, you know, when I see him on the street, everybody would say Kellon, but sometimes just that he would know he's one of us from those old years, we would shout out Rat, you know, at him. And he always responded. Even at the time of his ailment, one of the players, one of the current goalkeepers went to see him and he was sleeping a bit tired, you know, and then they were saying, well, he was resting and so on. And he just shouted Rat at him and he jumped up immediately from the bed, from the sleep, you know. And even though that nickname probably, you know, it never faced Kellon to say, don't call me Rat.
Right.
He accepted it.
He accepted it.
And, you know, he was cool with it and he was humorous about it. So that's my fondest memory of it.
Well, just to add to you, as Kellon grew, he came from Rat to where we started calling him Master Splinter.
The biggest of them all.
Yeah, understand it. Yeah, so, but he never had a problem with it. He always laughed about that and then things.
All right, great stuff. So, one question directed to the manager. If you had to take one, if you were only allowed one single quality from Kellon that you wanted the entire team to go forward with, what would it be?
His humility. His impeccable humility. He would approach every situation with the greatest humility, and it's one of the qualities I've not, let's just put it this way. You know, that's the hardest quality for human beings to master. And I think Kellon mastered that quite well with his personality and with the role he played. And that would have a lasting memory with me. You know, he was humble about every situation, whether it's to take a decision in an argument, to make any kind of resolution. He would always come. And just to shed some light on that, back in 2003 or 4, there was that Heineken Knockout League, and I was at Tantine. I was not then just a supporter of the team. And I went to him, we were playing Caranage, and I said, Kellon, there are 4 guys on the field that I see. I know it's your boys, they're tired. Caranage was at that time a very strong team, very potent. I say, if you can take them guys off, put fresh leg in the game, we're soon going to be overrun. And he was throwing his hand at me, you know, Gibbsy, leave me alone, man. Why are you telling me them guys don't make it? The half game, he didn't make any change. We lost the game 4-0. So then I said, Kellon, you know what? I ain't think I'll come wrong anymore, man. You know, I think you have no value in my thing. Well, the season came to an end, and we move on, and we start. And the very next year, Kellon and most of the senior players approached me and said, boss, you got to come around. In fact, we want you to start managing the team.
Right.
You know, even if we broke off on a kind of negative fashion, he never kept it in his heart. He never said, Manuel, you know, you give up on the team. He came right back and encouraged me and implored me to get back in and work along with him. You know, and that speaks a lot about his character.
Okay. Yeah. So you agree, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So any last words or anything that you wanna share with Grenada before?
Well, to the country as a whole, to the football fraternity, we know that Kellon would be greatly missed. In fact, sentiments have been shared by all of the footballing teams, the people responsible in football, general football fraternity. The legacy of Kellon definitely will live on within the UMGBSS football club. There will be a new face to the club in the coming months. That will be made public. We want to keep his legacy alive, you know, by sharing good sportsmanship and keeping him in our memory whenever we take the field. So we want to thank everyone who has been sympathetic with the club, and many condolences has been shared in that light. And we just want to say and go on record to know that Kellon is still an integral part of the new GBSS, and his memory will live on with us forever.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. So, all right, talking to classmates, schoolmates, teammates, and family, basically, of late Kellon Baptiste.